don't remember how I killed him.
She had fried the head in a deep fat fryer.
All I remember, I get up and I found him in a trash bag.
She stated that she had cooked some of his ribs in the oven, put some barbecue sauce on it, and actually tasted it.
She said it tasted sweet, just like I like it.
I wish I knew how I killed him, though.
This seemingly composed lady was 23-year-old Omaima Eri Nelson, who had just discovered her 56-year-old husband, William Edwin Nelson, otherwise known as Bill, dead, and appeared unable to fully process the situation. However, what awaited everyone was far more sinister than anyone could imagine.
Upstairs neighbor heard the garbage disposal running and grinding the entire weekend, like a motor under stress.
However, only if she could have stopped just at the killing of her husband on Thanksgiving Day of November 28, 1991. But instead, she decided to go far beyond any human could think of.
When there was blood all over them, and you walk and say, he must die.
The truth investigators would soon uncover was far darker than anyone dared to believe.
It ranks as the most gruesome crime scene that I've ever encountered.
And that was kind of in the back of everybody's mind at that time. Are we going to turn up another Jeffrey Dahmer?
On December 1st, 1991, a frantic call to U.S. emergency services set off a chilling investigation into a murderer that would haunt Orange County forever. Jose Esquivel, a friend of Omaima Nelson, reported that his friend had killed her husband, who reportedly abused her, and was now offering him $75,000 to help dispose of the body. The police quickly mobilized, racing to uncover the truth behind this horrifying claim. When officers located Omaima driving her husband Bill's red 1975 Corvette, they found eerie trash bags in the vehicle. Bill Nelson, as he was known, had been reported missing after failing to show up for work following Thanksgiving weekend. They stopped her car and sorted through the stuff kept in it as Omaima looked on quietly. In the car, they found something unsettling, which further investigation determined to be human flesh. This shocking discovery led to Omaima being immediately taken into custody for questioning, where she seemed fully cooperative.
She seems cooperative, but the answers that she's giving to questions are a little bit bizarre.
The investigation then led police to their apartment in Costa Mesa, California, where they stumbled upon a scene that would become notorious in true crime history. As they entered the apartment, they found Bill, but not in the way they had anticipated, and it seemed like they were walking into a slaughterhouse. Bill's remains were stuffed into suitcases, buried beneath piles of cardboard boxes. The police discovered human flesh and organs wrapped in bags on the floor, alongside a broken table lamp and a heavy clothing iron stained with blood and human hair.
As you began to look more closely, you would see a little drop of blood on the doorknob, see a little drop of blood on a wall, maybe some blood on a carpet.
As officers continued their grim search, they found Bill's bedroom in utter disarray. The bedpost had been ripped off and splintered, and the mattress was soaked with blood. The most shocking discovery awaited them in the freezer. Bill's head, wrapped in tinfoil, revealing stab wounds and showing signs of having been deep fried. They also discovered 2 of the bedposts broken and blood-soaked, indicating Bill had been tied up and killed mercilessly.
She had fried the head in a deep fat fryer, so it was pretty badly burned. It was completely soaked with blood through and through, as well as the box frame.
In the bathroom, the horror escalated. Bill's chest and torso hung over the bathtub, skinned and carved, left to bleed into the tub as if it were a butcher shop. His body had been castrated. Moving into the kitchen, police found pots and pans left on the stove, containing what appeared to be a stew. Among the vegetables and turkey meat were Bill Nelson's hands submerged in the concoction with bruises on them. It appeared that he'd been tightly tied up before being murdered. In the trash bin, bits of his hips were mixed with cranberry sauce, a grim twist on Thanksgiving leftovers.
At that point, we had a homicide.
His hip area was found disguised with the attributes of a Thanksgiving meal: peas, corn, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce.
This horrifying tableau painted a picture of unimaginable horror. The chilling details of this case would go on to draw comparisons to fictional horror stories. As investigators worked to uncover how such a tragedy could unfold within what was supposed to be a loving marriage, with Bill's dismembered body, the police couldn't immediately identify the cause of death due to the body's condition. The officers were certain that it was Bill, but to be fully sure, and to unravel the mystery behind this soul-shaking murder. They delved deep into Omaima's past, and what they discovered was going to be among the most disturbing discoveries of their careers. Omaima Eri Nelson's life began in a small, impoverished farming village in southern Egypt, near the Sudanese border in 1968. Born into a conservative Arabic household as one of 16 children, her early years were marked by hardship and trauma. Her father had a bad temper and was abusive, subjecting her to both physical and sexual assault from a young age. By the time she turned 18 in 1986, Omaima's life took yet another dramatic twist. She met Roger Stainbrook, an American oil worker working on contract in Egypt. Drawn to him and the promise of a new life, she got romantically involved with him. Though her mother was hesitant about the cross-cultural relationship, she eventually accepted the relationship with a possible fear that no Egyptian man would accept her. Soon, the cracks in their relationship began to show, and before long, their marriage ended. Determined to survive, Omaima took on odd jobs like being a nanny or waitress. But these alone couldn't sustain her. She even ended up getting arrested briefly for robbing a pharmacy. And at another point, she attacked 2 security guards who caught her stealing in a department store. She worked as a part-time model too, but soon realized that her beauty could be used for her better survival. She lured men in, entrancing them with her striking appearance, only to rob them once they were at their most vulnerable.
She had this attraction to men, and she could play pool, and she was very articulate and very friendly.
What she was good with was her sexuality. She could get men to do things for her, and she used her sexuality to get what she wanted.
A risky game she played to survive. Omaima would get men in a compromising position, tying them up, using a weapon, and stealing from them. In October 1991, she met 56-year-old Bill, who seemed to be a generous and kind man to her. He was an ex-Marine, an ex-pilot, and now worked part-time as a computer programmer and messenger at Cannon Mortgage in Tustin.
She met Mr. Nelson, much like she met the other men, at a Costa Mesa bar near his home. He coddled her and caressed her and treated her like a lady. He was kind of what we might term in California old school. Still wanted to have a relationship, but wouldn't unless he married her.
This time, Omaima didn't stop and killed her husband. According to her claims, Bill sexually assaulted her that night, and as it was already a contentious act for her, she couldn't control her rage. Omaima took a knife and stabbed Bill repeatedly before beating him to death with a clothing iron. She was depraved to her very bones. She, piece by piece, hung up his torso in the shower with coat hangers and other things in order to let the blood dry out. Omaima had killed her husband on Thanksgiving Day, November 28, 1991. Over the following days, she dismembered his body, a grim task she continued until December 2nd, 1991, when she finally found herself exhausted and unable to continue alone. Seeking assistance, she approached her friend, Jose, claiming her husband had assaulted her and she was seeking his help. But instead, horrified, Jose went straight to the police, setting the stage for a chilling investigation. Now, it was crystal clear to the officers that the body they had found indeed belonged to Bill, and his wife was the murderer, but her claims indicated otherwise. Omaima's claims of assault further seemed to be true with the marks on her body. The investigators also contacted Bill's stepdaughter to discover anything unusual they could have noticed. It turned out he did contact her before being killed by his own wife. As the investigation deepened, detectives turned to Bill's neighbors, hoping someone might have noticed something unusual. What began with his murder only escalated into savagery.
The downstairs neighbor heard the garbage disposal running and grinding the entire weekend. Like a motor under stress.
When the medical examiners weighed all the remains found in Omaima's apartment and compared them to Bill's records, they realized something horrifying. Nearly 180 pounds of them were missing. Given the grim discoveries already made, it became apparent to the officers what could have happened. The implications were unthinkable, and the missing weight suggested that Omaima had disposed of large portions of his body. As the officers called her in for questioning the second time, she said once they were married, Bill started showing his violent side. After further pressing, Omaima accepted having killed her husband. But now she left them with another unsolved mystery. Then, her psychiatrist made a shocking claim that left everyone in nothing but horror, and everyone was forced to doubt their loved ones. She stated that she had cooked some of his ribs in the oven, put some barbecue sauce on it, and actually tasted it. Omaima's trial began on December 1st, 1992, almost 1 year after Bill Nelson's murder. Even in the court, she claimed that it was her mind playing games on her, and that the hallucinations had made her do this. Omaima's psychologist also testified in her favor and put forward the state of her mental health. She explained how she was becoming delusional, and she was found guilty of second-degree murder by the jury on January 12, 1993 after deliberation. She was also found guilty of assault with a deadly weapon for her attempted robbery of Robert. Omaima, then 24 years old, was sentenced to 25 years to life in the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla, California. This case highlighted how traumatic experiences in childhood could lead to mental health issues in the future. With this, we ask you, what do you think about this case? Do you think Omaima was actually psychotic and killed her husband in a rage? Or did she simply kill him for the sake of his money? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. If you found today's video interesting, please consider subscribing to our channel. Hit that like button and share our videos. Also, if you have any crime that you'd like us to cover, leave us a message in the comment section below. Until then, stay safe and keep exploring our channel.